What's good, y'all? Six Element of Hip Hop. We getting it popping. Corey Adger in the building. Let's get it. What up? What up? My name is Reno on the wall. My co-host here, Stu Dog in the house. Stu Dog, what's good? Check 1 2. Stu Dog. Check 1 2. Oh, Stu Dog must be away from. He must be AFK. Well, y'all, we got a DC extravaganza because it's DC Power Hour every Saturday. We do it like this. We talk about DC. We get it in with the DCU, with the DCEU, with the DC Absolute Universe. But yeah, man, tonight we're going to talk about the DC Absolute Universe and the DCU because there's lots going on with both and how they sort of correlate. Do they correlate? How they mix together? Do they mix together? What's going on there? And the DCU, the DC Absolute Universe is sort of like the Marvel Ultimate Universe. It's basically DC's Ultimate Universe, and right now, man, they're killing it. They're fucking killing it, and you know, DC Comics is already seeing major success from this new Absolute Universe, which again reboots and reimagines various classic heroes, which is DC's bread and butter. You know, the reboots, reimaginings, that's sort of DC's bag. That's kind of how they get down. And, you know, having already launched 2 books with at least 4 more in the next coming months, the line is an epic and modernized companion to the more classic mainstream DC universe. But not only is this quickly becoming a sales boom for the publisher, but it also fixes some of the mistakes made by a previous attempt at a similar idea. Y'all know 50 ways. But now 52, the new 52 reboot, which began in 2011, was incredibly controversial for DC fans and for several reasons. You know, while it initially had sales success, in the long term, it was definitely a questionable direction for the company. But now, with the Absolute Universe is doing the new 52 correctly by slowly rolling out distinctly different takes on familiar heroes in their own world, instead of just trying to drop everything, all 52, you know, lines at once. They're kind of trickling it out, you know. And the biggest issue with the new 52 was the inherent. What was inherent in the concept, you know, as it was, you know, it sort of like erased, you know, what was at that point over 2 decades worth of continuity. And, you know, for heroes like Superman, Wonder Woman, and their stories were radically altered and even borderline restarted from scratch, some of them with very, you know, altered origins and everything. And this meant that some of the most beloved runs and storylines featuring these characters were now erased from continuity, no longer canon, despite how much they had defined those brands at the time and how much people were totally into them. And it didn't help so many, you know, the 52, the new 52's changes sharply differed from, you know, what had come before, like Wonder Woman being revealed as Zeus's daughter, right? The erasure of Martian Manhunter from the Justice League membership, legacy characters being written out or egregiously changed, and you know, the continuity of the Teen Titans team, the shoehorning of characters from now CEO Jim Lee's Wildstorm universe into the far different DC universe, which is why we have the new which is why we have the DCU has the what's that, the team, fuck,
Wildcats.
the what is it?
It's a Wildcats.
No. The team that is in the DCU movies that's going to be in the Superman movie. The Absolute. I can't. Absolute is stuck in my brain. So I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, it's
the Elite.
all I can think. No, it's the Authority. The Authority.
The Authority.
The
Yeah.
Authority. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. The Authority. I know somebody was like the fucking Authority saying. But yeah, you know, it's no surprise that a lot of these new 52 retcons have already been, undone and fixed. And a lot of fans noticed that the new 52 was unnecessary in providing younger, more modern takes on the characters, which, Marvel is I think making a huge mistake right now with a lot of their lines doing that. But this was largely due to the success of the Superman Earth 1 books that had just come out and helped launch a new universe of alternate takes on characters. And had this line of books set in another universe been pushed in the same manner, it would have been made for, a healthier, more accepted alternative to what was done with the new 52. And at the same time, its format as the original, the series of original graphic novels that came out only occasionally, hampered the Earth One line, which eventually shuttered. But the absolute universe that we're talking about now and that's going on now is superior to both the new 52 and Earth One universe due to its being a separate universe of monthly comic books. So fans can only complain so far about any changes in this alternate universe, namely when the classic interpretations of these heroes are still right there, being pushed every month. I mean, have you gotten into them, Stu, yet? The absolutes?
Oh yeah. I just read
Mm,
Wonder Woman today. I read Wonder
nice,
Woman.
nice.
I read Batman. Well, I picked up my Wonder Woman today, and then I read it. I came home and read it. I was excited to
Mm,
read it. It was good. Um, I sent one off. Actually bought two copies. I sent one off to get slabbed, and the foil covers are the bomb. So I sent that. I bought that. Sent that off, and I like it so far. It's different than the new 52 because I think it's just more centered around the characters. Like what that remains to be seen. We'll see because in the last one it just didn't have. New 52 was good, but it just didn't have, like you said, there was a lot. There was a lot they took out. And I found out today that they're going to be doing villains too. They're going to be doing absolute villains
yeah,
as
buddy.
well as heroes.
Yeah.
What villains they haven't said yet, but
Well, yeah, yeah.
everybody's excited about the Flash. Everybody wants to see what the Flash is going to be. Um, at my LCS, the one, Wade's Comics, he told me that the Flash is going to be. He said he didn't want to spoil it, but he said that the Flash is going to be the only speedster. So there won't be any other speedsters. There's no Kid Flash. There's no nothing. No Zoom. None of that. He's the only speedster
Mm,
in the whole universe.
mm.
And he said that's all I'm gonna tell you. I guess he read it, but he just said he didn't want to give away too much. Um, he already has the Superman. He read the Superman issue already because I guess he's a comic book shop on, but he wouldn't tell us what that is either. He wouldn't tell us anything. He said if I even show you a picture, he said you can't even like he had to put the comics behind the counter because he said people were coming in, they wanted to see it so bad, they were flipping through the comic and he
Yeah,
just was keeping them behind the counter. But he said that the Superman one is really, really good, but he
yeah.
wouldn't
Well, with
tell
the
us
Flash,
anything about
with the Flash one though, he was not. He wasn't. I mean, he hasn't read the whole thing yet because what they did, they put out a small preview. And
it.
so,
Okay.
like, one of the most hyped Absolute Universe books in the works is definitely Absolute Flash. You're 1,000% on that. And it's a world. The whole Absolute world doesn't have the Speed Force. And the book's going
No.
to feature teenage Wally West as the only version of the Flash. There'll be no Barry Allen.
Yeah. There'll
There'll be
be no
no other
Barry
version.
Allen.
There'll just
No
be a Wally. Yeah.
Zoom. Yeah, there'll be no reverse flash, none of that. He said
Mm-mm.
he said right now Barry's the only speedster, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes it
Yeah.
dope. That makes it dope because they can get kind of confusing. You got
Yeah.
Impulse, and a lot of them come from the future on Barry's side. Even the
Yeah.
criminals, they all so
It
it
gets
gets confusing.
convoluted. Yeah, for
It
sure.
does. It really does. But
Yeah.
Batman's been great. I can't wait for the next issue. Wonder Woman was
Yeah.
really good, man. Wonder Woman was
Yeah.
really good. Without spoiling it, she the story just it leaves you asking a lot of questions when you get done reading it because you read it and you like well damn, like why is this way or because basically without spoiling it, but basically she grows up in hell and Cersei's raises her as her own daughter, and uh, she's the last. When they bring her to Cersei, they tell her she's the last of the Amazons. And so now you're like, well, damn, what happened to the Amazons? Like, what? But they don't tell you. They just leave you hanging with everything. And even at the end of the comic, when she finds out that she's an Amazon, they just leave you hanging. So we got to wait for the next issue to really get to meet. But it was good, man. It was really, really good. I mean, I like the way they put the gods in there. And then this one, like in the New 52, the gods were kind of like, I don't know, they were just too involved. In this one, they're like the way the gods should be. They do things and then they step back and they let they let the and everybody else on Earth just deal it out and they just sit and watch. And I like that. I really think that's fly. I really think that's the flyest thing ever because that's how it
Yeah.
should be. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just when you read it, it's a fun read. Like I said, I'm trying not to give away too much because I don't know who's read it and who hasn't.
Give it away.
But
Give it away. Give it away.
it's
Give
just
it away. Give it
definitely.
away. Give it away. You know we a
Oh
spoiler
God!
show.
All right, so
Give it
in the
away now.
beginning, you have this like upside down triangle shaped piece of land that's floating over a city, and everybody's looking at it and they're scared and they're like, "What is
Upside
this?
down
And why
triangle.
is it floating in?" It's upside down, and they're looking at it like, "What is this? What's going on? Like, what?" So then these reporters go and they start reporting on it, and you know how reporters do? They stand in front of it and it's in the back, and so they started reporting, and then these little hell demons come out.
Oh
And
shit.
then the reporter's looking like, yo, like, wait a minute, like I just got here. So then the demons start flying towards them. And then all of a sudden, they get sliced in half. And it's
Mm.
Wonder Woman. And she's on a Pegasus. But the Pegasus is dead. So it's just a skeleton. So she looked like she's riding like a horse of death. And
Yeah.
she starts battling these things and she's tearing them apart. She's ripping them in half. She's doing all this. And then she snaps her bracelets together. And you know how and then she makes the chain reaction and she kills like dozens of them, like millions of them, and they all
Mm.
fall. So then she comes down, and the military arrives by that time, and she's talking to one of the soldiers. She says, "Hey, you!" She said, "You in charge?" And the guy looks at her. She says, "Obviously not." So then she says, "Find your leader, gather your armies, because more is coming. This ain't it."
Mm.
She was like, "This is just a prelude to what's to come." And she
Yeah.
said, "And those things," she said, "the only thing I've done is stop them, but they're not dead. So get your army together
Yeah.
because they will be coming back." Like so, then this
Mm.
giant beast comes out. I forget what it was called, but it comes out, looks at Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's like, "All right, I got this. Y'all step back. So I'm gonna do this." She flies up there. Pegasus picks her up. She jumps on Pegasus, starts battling this thing. Thing keeps hitting her with these eye lasers. Just keeps tearing. Wonder Woman's blocking them. She's talking to it. It's talking to her. Wonder Woman's telling her, like, "Look, oh, I can send you back to where you came from." She pulls out this
Mm-hmm.
giant sword. She's got this super big Buster sword. Like, I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like the joint Cloud carries. And
Right.
she starts battling this thing. And right before the battle gets to a climax, which is like they do like the Dragon Ball Z movies, she says her infamous line, like Optimus Prime and Megatron, "Let this be our final battle. Why you throw away your life so recklessly?" And the
Mm.
creature answers her back. And Wonder Woman's like, "Don't worry, you about to die." And then it flashes back. So in the flashback, she's talking to Cersei's. And Cersei's talking. Cersei's didn't want to raise her. She didn't want to. She didn't want to have anything to do with Wonder Woman. Um,
Mm.
when he dropped her off, the guys told her like, "Look, like here, this baby." And she's like, "Why are you bringing a baby to hell? Like, why? Like, I don't understand." And Cersei just sat there and just was looking at her. And a snake rolls up and tries to bite her. And Diana, as a baby, she grabs the snake and then she just throws it. So then Cersei is interested now. She's like, wait a minute. And then as she was growing up, she was battling different, beasts in hell. She even
Mm.
slayed a hellhound and was able to run faster than the hellhounds.
Well, it
And
says the basic concept of the series is that baby Diana was stripped from the Amazons by Zeus and given to Cersei to raise in hell. And Cersei, having been banished to hell herself, years earlier, with Apollo banning Cersei from using the word Amazon. And then
Amazon. Yeah.
Cersei, of course, isn't interested and plans on allowing the baby to die. And as well, it is, I mean, it's a baby in hell. I mean, it shouldn't be long for the world, but is shocked when the baby
But then
Diana is not only strong enough to fight off the demons, but adorable enough that she begins to befriend the demons of hell. And she's
that's one
like,
of her power. Now that's one of her
right.
powers. When you read in the book that she actually is like a force thing. Now you can use the force to tame animals, but she can actually do that. She can actually tame animals with her powers.
Right.
The only controversial thing with the book that I did catch was that in the beginning, Apollo says that the word Amazon cannot be spoken. He didn't say
Right.
Cersei's, but in the flashback, it was only Cersei's that he forbid to say the word Amazon because
Mm,
Diana said it. She said Amazon at the
right.
end. And I was like, wait a minute. So I, flipped back. And I was like, wait a minute. He said nobody said. I was like, never mind. Skip it. That's nerd. I just said I ain't gonna nerd nitpick. I'm just gonna enjoy the comic.
Yeah. I
So
mean, it's dope that it's in hell. It's like this dope, and she's naturally as a superhero from hell, decked out in a hell designed costume. She's not. She
yeah,
looks different
yeah,
than Wonder Woman, and so she's sort of she has to fight a certain sort of villain, and so this is a character who's larger than life, and thus her only appropriate villains are also larger than life. And Thompson and Sherman, the creators of the book, I think came through in a big way, introducing a new villain for Wonder Woman to face that is epic in nature. And the villain is dope. The villain is super dope.
yeah. The villain is dope.
If you've
This
seen,
is this
I'm
is
sure Wonder Woman, she uses that giant sword as one of her weapons, with a magic bag to sheath the sword in, so she doesn't have to carry it around all the time. It's like a bag of holding, and things are just so wonderfully over the top in these battles. And
yeah.
Thompson has
The
developed
magic.
a triumphant feel to these fights, and Sherman is all over with the aspects of the larger than life, epicness of it. And this is where the brilliant Geordie Belair comes in as well, and her colors match wonderful with Sherman's line work to bring the over the top pages, because I'm big on the art, and if the art is there, man, it to me that's what that
Now, the
brings it
art,
together. And
the
it's
art
a
I like.
wonderful
The
sight.
art style
Beautiful.
I like. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like the art style. It's a little different, but I like it. It has like that. I don't know, like that hell kind of Hellraiser feel to it, but not
Yeah.
there. Um,
She has an amazing
but
ability to do these stylized, detailed progressions of time in hell, and the sharp action sequences, and also sort of like a classical approach to the scenes where Apollo visits Cersei, and the Mount Olympus type shit, and all that. It's marvelous to see. It's a very, very beautiful issue. Um, you know, this whole absolute universe is really, really well done, art wise, and that's really been drawing me to it.
yeah, it is.
But that
Don't forget Reno. Tell everybody get their was it DC All In? Get your foil
oh
covers. The DC
oh
All
yeah.
In foil covers, phenomenal. Get as many of them as
Hmm.
you can. I actually got the full cover for the Absolute Wonder Woman. They have
Nice.
one for that. If you can get that, get that. But they put out a whole line of foil covers for the All In issue. And
Hmm.
people, when I was in there, people were getting it mixed up because they came for Absolute, but they were, and some came for All In and was getting Absolute and blah. But either way, when you go get the foil covers, they're dope. And like I said,
Yeah.
they're limited run. So if you can get your hands on them and put them away, you got something good on your hands.
Yeah. Well, the dope thing about this absolute universe to me is that it's like it's DC's reboot, right? Because that's what they do. It's what DC's big on. They do reboots and rehashings. That's what they're sort of they sort of look forward to every several years. But with absolute not being made to be completely overriding the mainstream DC universe, which is what New 52 completely did. They just completely overrode everything. But with this one, DC Comics has created an environment where both the mainstream DC universe and this universe are both going to succeed and both exist. And this also means that fans of certain characters have more options than ever to read, instead of like with New 52 or these other reboots, when they come out, it's like, boom, that other canon, it's gone, it's over, it's not happening more. With this one, it's like, here's this canon. And there's also that other canon, and they're doing the new Justice League is about to come out. That's going to be great. And even if some incarnations differ, here and there, people are still going to get what they want, and these new versions in the absolute universe might even attract readers who normally wouldn't check out certain heroes, especially with the absolute Superman being a more cooler, edgier, than the typical, Boy Scout Superman. And so that alone is going to draw in certain readers, and even people that might not even fuck with DC might fuck with this absolute universe. So it really, I'm excited about it. And in this way, the absolute universe can be a great entry point for all these various DC properties to hook a new generation of fans, new readers, new hobbyists who might be enticed to go back and read older material. And with DC and Marvel especially, their canons are decades and decades long, and it's so daunting, and it's like, where do I start, and do I have to really read all that shit? And it's like, with these reboots and stuff, it gives new readers, especially with the way they're doing it now, a great way to hop on. And there's a stronger chance of this happening than with the New 52, namely because fans of either iteration will be happy instead of just being at proverbial war over which one should remain on the main line and which one should be this and that. And now it's like, it's both. And for as much contention as the New 52 caused as being a reboot, this nature was only somewhat manifested in the actual books, much like what happened with Crisis on Infinite Earths. Batman, especially Green Lantern, saw not many changes to their mythos, whereas Superman and Wonder Woman were radically changed. And unfortunately, Wonder Woman and stuff like that, and Superman, especially with the Justice League and the Teen Titans, right? But at times there were moments in which the old continuity was seemingly still in play, but it definitely, they were trying to make it like that's no more, this is a new thing, and it became a nightmare to follow, especially for fans who were hung up on deciphering which stories mattered in the new universe and what was important and all of that. And if that's something you cared about, and this made it easier to simply abandon a lot of the changes that entirely once the DC rebirth era began. On the other hand, DC's newest universe here, Absolute, isn't the same insecure reboot as the New 52, right? Instead, the Absolute Universe immediately drew a line in the sand about being separate from the mainstream comics. This is different. This is not the same. This is not your dad's Batman type shit, right? And there's no need to hang on to the old, right? Familiar continuity will, while still trying to woo new readers, as it allows, the writers to create new, shit takes, and stuff like that on the heroes who, completely unburdened by what has been, in the past, that able to just have the freedom to go wild and create a Batman who is not a billionaire, a Bruce Wayne who's not a billionaire. He's a fucking blue collar guy. He's an engineer. He's cleaned the sewers. He fucking has done every blue collar job in Gotham, and he's got no money. He's got no resources. I mean, that's a whole different take. That changes the dynamic entirely, and shit like that. So I don't know. And phenomenal marketing, it's a great tactic for new readers. Check this shit out. I just got this too. Well, I don't want to change the subject yet because there's a lot of new shit too. But yeah, I mean, another issue with the New 52 was how the reboot was released simultaneously every issue, you know what I mean? Like every title everybody. Batman, Superman, not only the big three, but like all your Swamp Things and fucking, all the side characters and shit. Yeah, Superman's
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
He said DCU is the Holy Trinity versus DCU Unholy Trinity. I think you mean the DC, the absolute being the unholy, and the DC. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it
It's
because
dope. Yeah, because in the 52, I'm with you. It didn't. It wasn't. I don't know. It went from what like
yeah.
2000, I think maybe 11 to like 15. It's like 5 years, and then it ended with because it's the same thing.
Mm,
They always ended with some
mm,
type of convergence or something like that. And when they
mm,
ended it, a lot of people were complaining. Like a lot of people were like, "Well, damn." I mean, you had Jonathan Kent come out. He was gay, and then you had it was just a lot. A lot of you, and a lot of people were upset about that. Like, I mean, they were like hardcore upset. Then you had Superman and Wonder Woman were a thing.
mm.
People didn't like that. Batman and Catwoman became a thing. People really hated that. Then she gave away his fortune, and people hated that. Uh, it was just a lot. It was a
Yeah,
whole lot with Batman. It was a whole lot that people didn't like with Superman. There was a lot of people didn't like with Wonder Woman. The
yeah,
list goes on and on. Even the villains, people were like were just because they're and then a lot of the writers were saying that certain writers that were given stories or things to do, they just totally ignored other continuity or things that happened before that. Like there was like I was reading one by I forget who it was, but he was who the artist was, but he was saying and the writer, but he was saying that there was something with one of the heroes that they were supposed to mention and keep the continuity there, but they came in and wrote a story and kind of like pushed it to the side and
mm,
it changes everything. And they said nothing was consistent. They just couldn't. And one of the reasons why they created the 52 was to keep everything consistent.
yeah,
And they said things just slowly but surely just started branching off because the writers wanted to write these stories that they wanted to write, but they just didn't fit with the main continuity. So now we
yeah.
have DC Absolute, which is you can do that. So now
Mhm.
we can write these little stories, these little side stories. And that's why they came out with Elseworlds and things like that in order to, I don't know, fill in those gaps. And the writers can write those stories. If you want to make Jonathan Kent gay, you can do it in the Elseworld book or something like that, and then get
Right.
that popping. And it was just a lot. The Green Lantern Corps, there was a lot of stuff that just didn't fit. And then remember they created the other lanterns, so then you had all the other, you had blue, green, yellow, red, white,
Well, that's when
and
that
all of
started
that.
with New 52. That's when all those colors started.
All those colors came out in there. Yep,
Oh
that's when those
wow,
colors
I
came
thought
out.
that shit
Yeah,
was. Oh wow, I thought that had been around.
yeah. If you read the
Cause I
older
know there was
comics, they never.
yellow.
Yeah, there was yellow. There was we knew about yellow, and this is how they spun it. They spun it like we knew about yellow
Right,
and green, so we knew
right.
about those, and then
That
they
that
popped
gave
red
them
in there,
uh-huh.
and then they popped red in there. But what they did was it was smooth the way they did it. When they popped red in there, they popped red in there to let us know that there are more colors. We just haven't been paying attention to. We don't know about them yet. We haven't been paying attention to them. And then that's when they popped all those other colors in, and it
Yeah,
was just like wow, like okay.
yeah.
And you had Black Lanterns, you had Blackest Night, all of that came about. It's just a lot, man. It was a lot. So
Well, speaking of the DC, the absolute villains and the villains that you were talking about, right? Because there is something to that because we're about to get like a whole bunch of villain, and I think what they should do, and this is what we're seeing with like Penguin and shit like that, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute too. But like, making these villain stories, like it's okay to do that, and I think Absolute could really benefit from making some villain titles, and really going nuts, because you have well, with the Flash, right? They did the preview with the Flash, and there's details about his family life given and stuff like that, and who used to be his father, Rudy West, and other narrative elements are still unknown. But the preview has shown the new universe's redesigned take on Captain Cold and the Rogues. And what's his name? Jeff Lemire is the writer. So that. First of all, if you don't know Jeff Lemire, you're not doing comics right. Okay, go Google Jeff Lemire and look up some Jeff Lemire books and really go treat yourself, because that's amazing writer right there, and he's on the fucking absolute Flash. That's why a lot of people are really excited about this book. And he sort of unveiled this first look preview and discussing the upcoming, series at New York Comic Con's DC All In Absolute Universe panel, spotlighting Nick Robles' gorgeous art. And the preview teases, the stellar action and drama that fans can expect from the Absolute, Universe series, and which has Wally West as the first Flash, the only Flash. And the preview also showcases the Absolute Universe's iterations of Captain Cold, Captain Boomerang, and I think I can show y'all too. And then Gotham's villains. That's gonna blow your mind. But there's Wally.
Wait a minute.
Absolute Wally.
Wait a minute, Reno. But that shows a potential
That's Absolute
problem.
Wally.
There's a potential problem that we overlook, Reno. McFarlane is going to bring out these absolute figures.
Yeah.
And then what?
That'll be dope. I can't wait. Absolute Batman figure is gonna be crazy. There's Captain Cold. Dude looks like fucking what's his name?
Damn.
From Invincible. Pops.
Oh, the older dude.
Pops, yeah,
What's his Jerry? I think his name is
Omni-Man.
the Omni-Man.
Yeah, and then there's Captain Boomerang in the background. You see him. You see Boomerang with the green little boomerangs on his arm,
on his wrist. Who's the female?
and then there's, I don't know. There's a female right here with some yellow, and then there's one behind her with like an orange head. It looks like a big orange head, and then she's got a small female body. I can't tell. It's definitely a female. Looks like a jack-o'-lantern for possibility, but
might be Golden Glider. That might be the Rogues. Might be the Rogues.
That
could be Golden Glider. That could be. All right, then that's Golden Glider and that's Heatwave.
Okay.
Because those are the main Rogues. Those are the main Rogues right there.
Okay. Yeah, that's them. Then that's Wally and his pops Rudy. That's the Rogues. That's Wally again. There's Wally running through the desert. There's Wally looking all flashed out. But yeah, the other book that's going on, I'm going to get into also, man. The Batman the Long Halloween 2. Long Halloween is back, y'all, and it's been dope so far. But Absolute Flash, Jeff Lemire has stated that his version of the Scarlet Speedster, much like his Absolute Universe counterparts Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman, will start from the ground up. Past iterations of Wally West have, had other, titular icons like Jay Garrick and Barry Allen and as tethers and mentors and sort of, grounding, characters to for him to base off. But in this new universe, Wally West is going to be the first Flash, and we'll have to figure out the nuances of the Speed Force all on his own for the first time. So there's no established Speed Force. There's no established speedsters. There's nothing. There's just this kid who gets to be the Flash for the first time. Right. So that's crazy right there. Jeff Lemire, I'm telling y'all, there's no fucking question. It's just going to be written phenomenally. And he's got Diego Olortegui. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm probably destroying that right there. But he's the artist and is helming another Flash character as part of an ensemble for the DC All In mainline continuity. The writers Justice League of America, featuring Jay Garrick as the Flash, will debut this November. Because remember, there's still the mainline DC universe in conjunction, or not in conjunction, but concurrently at the same time as the Absolute Universe. And Lemire has expressed his love for, Justice League of America on many occasions, and recently discussed what sets the Golden Age team of heroes apart from other legendary superhero teams like Justice League. The modern one. And Justice League is simply, typically a front and center, type of deal. And Lemire believes that Justice Society of America something unique, given the team's ties to the past. And JSA operates much more like a family, with its heroes living together, working together like a commune kind of deal, in contrast to the JLA, which is set up more like a tactical team where they come and they might meet at a home base and then go out on a mission. And the JSA's uniqueness lies in the multi-generational membership too, that sort of lends the team a deep sense of history, that other superhero teams don't really have. And according to the writer, Alan Scott's Green Lantern and Jay Garrick's Flash embody that history. All in all, Jeff Lemire is thrilled to be part of DC, and I think it's dope that he's going to be doing the Absolute Universe. And he said, "What made me fall in love with DC was the scope of its history and of the universe." And the JSA, being from the 1940s, literally has some of the first superheroes ever created in comics. Seeing them carry on through the decades made that legacy stand out in a way Marvel never fully replicated. When DC was at its best, the JSA and JLA were both running concurrently, and that's something that I'm thrilled to be a part of again, end quote. And, he's not wrong. Marvel can never replicate it because Marvel wasn't around in the 1940s and never will be. You
No, they
know,
weren't.
they came out in the 60s. This is all it is
Yeah,
to it. It's where Marvel came from. They came out and just owned shit. They came out like Marvel's like the United States in that way. Like all these other countries been around for hundreds of years, but we just came and just fucking dominated, and it's crazy. But
it did. It
it
was
is what it is.
because it was. You know what? Marvel was a modern comic for a modern time. Um,
Yeah, and they
DC in
wanted
the
to
'60s, they were
show
still,
more
yeah, they was
relatable characters,
right, and they were still writing at the time. DC was still writing characters and comics like they were back in the '40s
like they
and
were
'50s.
gods. Yeah,
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 they were still kind of writing them that way, and they weren't really leaving that formula. They got a little bit modernized, but most of the comics you hear that came out in the '60s and the '70s, even the early '80s, that were
yeah,
uber popular is Marvel. That's all you probably. I'll say from about 80. I say from about 88 to about 1960. That's all you hear is Marvel. That's it. That's
yeah,
all you hear. The most continuity is Marvel. Marvel this, Marvel that. Spider Man. You had X Men. You had freaking Wolverine. You had you name it. They did it. And like you said, the heroes are
yeah,
very relatable. And Stan Lee, that was his formula. I want to make a hero that pays rent and that goes to
right,
school and that has a girlfriend. That has a real relationship that gets married. Like he wanted to embrace all those things. Like Peter
right.
Parker, you got to remember something about Peter Parker. Peter Parker was always broke. The struggle was real. That Joker,
Yeah, bro.
he was
He
always
couldn't
trying to
pay
make
rent.
rent. Yeah, he couldn't
Yeah,
pay rent.
give me
He
that.
was a photographer. Yeah, he
Give
was a
me that.
photographer, and yeah, he got paid by the job. He didn't get paid by
Whoa.
the hour. Yeah, if he had pictures,
Delivering pizzas.
J.
It was late.
Yeah,
It
J.
was
Jonah,
free.
yeah, J. All of that. J. Jonah James would be like, I give you 200 for the whole lot. He'd be
You're
like,
fired.
200, that's it. He like, yeah, and then he's fired, and he's hired the next week. Uh, it was just
You're
very,
fired.
very relatable.
Yeah.
And another thing they did was that everything in New York, depending
Yeah.
on where you
Real
lived in New
places.
York, right,
Real
there were real
places.
places,
Yeah.
and depending on where you lived in New York, people kind of knew each other, so that made
Right.
it even more real. So like, that even put even more of a spin on it. Uh, and it's just what they did. But DC for them to do this and reboot everything and just make it like uber ultra modern and just put their own little modern twist on it. That's big for them.
Yeah.
That's really really big for that comic book company because they don't do that. They really don't.
Yo, shout out to End to
And
Z,
doing it
man.
and is that what's up? That makes them that puts them into the modern age as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. End of Zed. We made it to Saturday. Y'all check out the End of Zed Kickstarter because that comic is hip hop. You know what I mean? And yo,
Okay.
if you I don't know if you should have the link, bro. If you want to hop on, did I send it to you, dog? Eddie, Eddie, hold on. Let me send Eddie the link. I don't know if Eddie gonna come on, but 11-2, what it do? Uh, uh, copy, copy. How y'all feeling about the new DC direction? Oh, we gonna definitely get into that. We're going to talk about the DCU and the direction in which they are going, as far as movies, as far as shows and animation. And at the moment, though, we're talking about talking about the comic book universe, the DC Comics right now. And with some cool shit going on. The Batman. I just wanted to say about the goddamn Batcave in this one is phenomenal. But one of the dopest things about the absolute universe for Batman is this new Batcave. It's dope. It's located in an abandoned tower. Remember, everything's very different. In this by Scott Snyder, MI6 agent Alfred Pennyworth returns to Gotham for the first time in years to observe and get information on the terrifying new terrorist gang, the Party Animals. And Alfred is ordered not to confront the Party Animals, but is given permission to engage with Gotham's new vigilante. This guy, this mysterious, and at the same time, a young Bruce Wayne trains in his friend Waylon Jones's gym, preparing for another night out as the Batman. And
Which we know who Waylon Jones is.
right,
That's,
and
that's
now
Killer,
is who?
Killer Croc.
That's right,
That's
Killer Croc. And a lot of the villains are his friends in this one. They're actually good guys. And the mayor of Gotham in this one is Jim Gordon, and he's got a small town hall that he's doing for the citizens, all of whom are living in fear over this new Party Animals terrorist group. And unfortunately, the Party Animals attack the town hall. Big surprise there. After shooting Gordon, prepare to massacre the attendees, and thankfully Batman is on the scene and takes on the gang single-handedly, of course, and just very brutally, violently just beats the living shit out of everybody. And Alfred observes the fight, noting how the skilled new vigilante appears to be. And when Alfred tries to engage Bruce, Batman effortlessly disarms him and takes off with his gun. And then Alfred spends the next several days tracking Batman, discovering that he's actually a civil engineer by day, which is one of the best things that about this new Batman that we're going to talk about too. And the buildings were part of an investment scam by companies and oligarchs who had no intention of finishing them. So it's like Bruce sort of adopted these empty buildings and uses them because he's got no money. He's not a rich dude. And so night comes and Alfred tracks Batman down to the top floors of several abandoned buildings in Gotham. And these buildings were part of an investment, this scam thing. And so but Bruce works on them, right? Sort of fixes them up, and knew that he'd have because when he was an engineer, right, he literally worked on them. Like, he literally worked on the buildings. And so he knew that he'd be able to install maybe secret passages or just all kinds of shit that gave him free reign over them, and set up an impromptu Batcave, with different computers and weaponry, and a bike that he stole from Alfred, a motorcycle that he stole from Alfred. And of course, once again, Pennyworth attempts to fight Batman. Because in this one, Alfred's no butler. He's an MI6, a grizzled old MI6 James Bond type assassin guy. Yeah, but Bruce turned the tables on him, and Alfred and Bruce they escape his lair. And so, but the absolute Batman Batcave definitely kind of shows off the strategic mind of this new Bruce Wayne and the engineering capabilities, if you will. And it definitely proves that he doesn't need a fortune to be Batman. And I think it makes him so much more authentic. Like, because everyone, Batman's a billionaire. He's got, you can do it. He's not. Now what you gonna say? Now what you gonna say? They took that away, and he's still Batman. So now what you gonna say? He got no powers, and he's not a billionaire. This dude is the truth. Um, it's just nothing you could say bad about him. But he may not have this fortune, but he spent a good decade learning everything that he need, to be Gotham's, overseer, or not overseer. That's a fucked up term. Gotham's, Dark Knight,
Protector. It's
protector, right?
protector. It's
Protector.
Dark Knight.
Word.
Vigilante.
And
It's number one
is
vigilante.
number one, yes, and including the engineering. Bruce's studies, right, combined with his career in public works, different utilitarian blue collar positions, gave him a deep knowledge of Gotham's, hidden corners and cuts, and just an unfinished tower that Batman set up, as his first headquarters and shit like that. And so the absolute universe is Batman doesn't, need the comfort of a secluded cavern far from the city to use as a lair. He works right in the fucking in the heart of it. And it's helped him discover places that, the public isn't paying attention to, like he's hiding in plain sight. And so, who's really going to be looking at, an old eyesore that is just going unused in a place like Gotham City? These places might as well be a fortress of solitude. And even better, this Batcave keeps him plugged into the city, right? He's right in there, allows him to keep a close look, a close watch on activity. He doesn't have to see the bat symbol and then suit up and get in the car and drive fucking through the woods and get out. He's there. He's right there. And it doesn't have the thrills and the frills, rather, of the technology and all that of the OG Batcave, of course. But it's cool. It definitely fits this character. It definitely gives him a strategic advantage for his very street level style. This guy's more like Punisher, to be honest. Minus the killing. uh, because he will definitely, use a gun, use whatever he has to fuck you up, but he's not going to kill you per se. But he will take your legs out.
Or off. Or off
Off,
Batman.
right. And despite Alfred finding Bruce's lair, he doesn't seem particularly bothered with what Batman's seen in his career. He no doubt already has another spot lined up. He's got shit probably on deck, ready to transfer his shit over there in an instant, to be his new Batcave. And he's probably got hell of them. But the regular Batcave, has always been in one fixed place. And I always thought, like, that's what, if the villain never found it, if they ever found out his Batcave, that's it. It's a cave. It's a huge cave. He can't just relocate it. It's not even a building, so it doesn't need to just be set in one place. The way he moves and the way he has to keep it moving, especially because having that fortune, bro, that's a suit of armor right there. He can he can bounce around as the playboy Bruce Wayne, get him out of trouble, talking to judges and shit, whatever. But he don't have that safety net now. His more affluent, ways, aren't available to him. And with the worst bad guys in Gotham now are after him, so he can't really get too invested in one spot. So he builds a temporary one in a low traffic area, uses it until it's unusable, and moves to the next one. Boom, kind of like a disposable thing, like Punisher had in the show. So it's strategic. It's dope. It's a dope. It fits. I'll say that it really fits this dude. And making Bruce Wayne an engineer is the best Batman idea they've had in years. Straight up and down. It just, it just is. He's a um Alfred, who's a hitman in this universe rather than the butler, in of the main DCU. In his reflection, Alfred details Bruce's journey from childhood, who lost his father in a mass shooting at the zoo, to becoming the mysterious Batman. And so Alfred focuses on Bruce's career path, highlighting his studies in applied mechanics. He's talking about his experience in criminal psychology, chemistry, military theory, all kinds of practical, shit that a billionaire, playboy would never have done. And so before he returned to Gotham, to work across these various city departments, right? He worked at the power, the water, the sanitation, the city hall, until ultimately becoming an engineer. And you know this Bruce Wayne contrasts sharply with the regular Bruce Wayne that we know, who was born into wealth, maintained his billionaire status throughout most of the mainstream continuity. That was always part of his ego, his alter ego. It was always part of who Batman was. Billionaire by day, vigilante by night. And Absolute Batman also differs in that he lost only his father rather than losing both his parents in the crime alley mugging. And as a result, this Bruce was raised by his mother in a brownstone in Gotham City, not by a butler in a mansion in Bristol. Although he's still exceptional, these changes make him far more relatable, far more Marvel-y, far more Ultimate Universe, especially to younger generations who rarely find billionaires appealing. I mean, today we've got what, Elon Musk. Nobody wants to be like Elon Musk. Nobody fucking likes Elon. One time Elon Musk posted a picture of Batman on Twitter, and with the caption, some nights this is how I feel, or some shit, like implying that he was fucking Bruce Wayne. Bro, he got roasted, bro. Ratio, dude. Twitter just ate him alive, bro, for that shit. I thought it was hilarious. But I mean, that's our billionaires. That's kids don't want to
Yeah.
fucking see a billionaire anymore, And I think
Nah.
DC's decision to make Batman a member of the working class and remove his billionaire status is a fucking brilliant move. A lot of people are like, oh, it's fucking brilliant. Because younger generations, right, often have a dim view of billionaires, especially these days. It's not like how it
Right.
was in the 40s, right? A billionaire was, everybody wanted to be a billionaire. And now people like, we like the money, but there's no billionaires you want to fuck with. And
No. And these billionaires were very charitable in the comic books.
and
They're
they
very
do,
charitable. They're very giving.
yeah,
Batman's very charitable. He gives to all charities. He,
yeah.
hooks people up all the time and things like
Lex
that.
Luthor is the
Um,
type of billionaire that Elon Musk is. Donald Trump, I
yeah,
mean, come on.
Trump is like
These are
Trump is
villains.
like Joker. He like Joker, billionaire Joker. But I listen. Absolute
Old ass.
Batman is
I ain't
just
gonna give
excellent.
joke. That's a damn disgrace to Joker. I
Well,
like
yeah,
Joker too
absolute
much.
Batman. I hope they do an absolute Joker. I hope we get an absolute Joker.
They
That'd
are.
be, you know what I mean. But and then Joker is the billionaire in Absolute Batman.
Yep.
So but then I want to see how they do Lex Luthor and Ultimate Superman. I want to see how they do. Well, we seen Xerxes, which is Wonder Woman's arch nemesis in what you call it in her books, her regular
Yeah.
continuity. But she also has Gigantor, Cheetah. We gotta see what they do with those characters and how they're gonna evolve and come out. So it's gonna be
Hmm.
real
Hmm.
interesting, man. I'm looking forward to it. Between that and the Ultimate Universe Marvel's put out, I've been reading Ultimate Spider-Man. That's been blowing me away that's at every issue.
Yeah, the Ultimate Spider-Man is phenomenal. I just picked
Yeah,
up this. Yeah.
we on
Um.
issue what, 10? We on 9 or 10?
Yeah. Yeah. Nine. I just
9.
picked up 9 today. Yeah. 10. I think 10. But I didn't. But I didn't. I wasn't gonna show it tonight because right now I'm gonna show y'all some Batman shit that I picked up. This one I grabbed the other day. But the reason I'm gonna show y'all is because I grabbed number 2 today. So, but this one is the new Long Halloween. If y'all don't know, the Long Halloween is easily one of the best Batman stories. Easily top 3, I'd say. Like Hush is up there. Like it's definitely one of the
Yeah,
best.
Hush.
Dark
Yeah, Hush,
Knight,
Long
like
Halloween,
yeah,
Dark Knight. What was the other one? Mm, Year One. Year One.
year
Year One.
one,
Year
year
One was
one.
another.
Yeah,
Year
it's
One.
up there like that. And this is the new. It's called the Long Halloween, the last Halloween, and it's got a really amazing artist involved. Joe Lieb, and Joe Lieb is easily one of the best. And Joe Lieb is now doing a joint with my man Jim Lee. So I'm really excited about that. But right now, yeah, this is the one from the other day. This one just came out. This is number 2. Super excited to get into this. It's been phenomenal. It's some super duper gangster shit, just like the first one. The mafia is involved. Uh, then I grabbed this. Had no idea it was gonna be blank like this, a blank white cover. I was like, what the fuck is this? For some reason, they have a little white paper stapled on the outside, and then boom, Batman Full Moon.
Mm,
The texture is amazing. You can see kind of with the way the light hits it. The Batman is kind of raised up,
yeah,
you
that's
know,
dope.
and then the matte finish, the black, and then this is like gloss. The text is like gloss, and then the same thing. This is like raised up, embossed, they call it, and then the back is really dope as well. You can't really tell from the camera, and the way the light hits it and everything, but the textures are amazing. The like the matte kind of rough finish, and then the letter has like I said, like a raised embossed uh what do you call it, texture. But yeah, it's dope. It's dope. It's Batman Full Moon. This is book 1, and the art is just stunning. Look at that.
That's dope. Did you read it yet?
No, I just picked it up. I just brought this
Oh,
home.
okay.
Just got home, hopped on the show. There's your boy. Looks like somebody's turning into a werewolf. So it's definitely uh you know, Batman and werewolves going down. So yeah, there we go. If you're into werewolves and Batman, this shit is dope. And I'm into both, so I can't
I'm into
wait.
both.
I'm
My
into
favorite
both.
character on Killer Instinct is Sabretwolf. So yes, I'm into werewolves.
Check what else I picked up, man. Oh,
Damn. Is that the new one?
yep.
Damn.
Yeah, son. Number 1 through
Mm,
50.
That'll keep you busy for about 6 years.
I'm so excited. 50 comics, all 50. Joe number 1. This is just number 1, compendium number 1. But yeah, man, this is I've been really wanting to get this for a long time.
It's better that way. If you're gonna get any of the runs, anything, it's better just to get the omnibus like that, man. Just do that and keep it
I
moving.
have some of these, like this one. I have this issue. Like I have some of the issues, but yeah, you're right. If you want to read it, just get the omnibus, get the trade paperback, get the fucking whatever you call it, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it. Get that because it's a compilation of all the. It's just easier. It's easier to read. If you want to collect them for value or collectability or art or whatever, then grab the individual issues, so you can
And
get
the issues,
dope
yeah,
ass covers like this.
yeah. But to save space and a lot of headache, just get the omnibus, man. Go on about your business. You'll be happier. You'll have every comic you need in one shot.
Yeah,
You don't
this
have
is
to hunt
great.
down individually.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
this
is
is
great. I gotta get that too.
this
I've been
is
meaning to
great.
get that joint.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, yeah. This is I'm trying to find that one panel with the original 13 on there, and then the shooter blank screen. So there's 14 screens on the, yeah, here it is. Aha. So check this out. You see all these screens right here? That's the
Yeah,
original 13. You got Hawk, who is that? Zap.
Breaker. I like
You
Zap,
got
Breaker,
Grand Slam, Short Fuse, Scarlet, Steeler,
Rock and Roll,
Flash, Grunt,
Snake
Clutch,
Eyes,
Stalker, Breaker,
Stalker,
yep, Rock and Roll. And then look at the one that the hand is covering.
Shooter.
Shooter.
This is.
Who the fuck is Shooter? From the original 14.
I think he was it. I
Nah, I'm
don't
gonna show
know.
you who it is.
I
I'm
don't
gonna show you who
know.
it is. I
Is
got
it
you.
you got Shooter?
Yeah. Many years later, in a much later iteration of GI Joe comic, they decided to make Shooter a character, and this is who they made it: a black
Oh, the
female
female. That's right.
sniper. Yeah, she's a sniper. Now this is a my Kit Bash version, where I gave her a an altered Lady J hat and two Deadpool MP5s and some Scarlet combat boots. So I kind of upgraded her and made her more tactical for the my special night force squad of Kit Bashed. Yes, I have a kit. I'm a Kit Bash dude. That's just how I get down. I love kit bashing. When the new card back Beachhead came out, I immediately kit bashed the original Beachhead and made a Night Force version of Beachhead. So I have a whole kit bash Night Force that I created. Let me get this shit to focus. Hang on.
Mm. Because originally wasn't Shooter. They talk about her in the comics. They went on a mission or
Yeah, I
something like
did.
that. She's supposed to
Yeah.
die. She was supposed to have died or something like. Somewhere. I think I know where to look that up at. I'll look that up. I gotta read that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know the story exactly. But yeah, this one, you
Yeah.
see, I chromed out certain parts of his backpack, made that shit look super dope. Um, painted his all the green on him gray, all the dark shit, painted that gray and black. So I made him into just a gray black version of, gave him some fucking night vision goggles and made him a Night Force version of Beachhead. I got the tunnel rat.
You've been busy.
Hooked him up. I kit bashed the fuck out of Tunnel Rat. Hold on, let me focus. There you go.
He actually kind of looks better like that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of snake eyes, his belts and gear. Okay, of course you can see I painted things black and gray and chrome. Put that bandana around his face just as an experiment. Thought it looked pretty dope. And I gave him the beret of Stalker. And I think those are Mutt's glasses where I chromed out the lenses. And yeah, so he's just Night Force fucking Tunnel Rat. Just the other day, I finally caved in and got a Tiger Force figure, and I grabbed Tiger Force Flint. You might notice something different about my Tiger Force Flint, and that would be the face. His face doesn't have paint on it. The Tiger Force Flint has a black stripe on his eye and some face paint. So I took that because there's a retro cardback Flint coming out. So now I took my regular Flint and I'm making a Night Force version out of him.
Mm, that
Put
looks
the
better.
painted
Like that
face.
looks more. Now see, that look more natural. That the way it is
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, that looks
Put this
more natural.
this knife thing on his leg that came with the other one. All this is getting painted gray. All the brown is gonna be black, so he'll be all gray and black when I'm done with him. And yeah, that shit won't focus. So yeah, so he'll be a Night Force Flint.
Yeah, that looks way better.
Kid bashing is the shit. But yeah, this fucker here, I'm not sure if this is the so they said they advertised that you could go Joe or Cobra. This was the only one my LCS had, and so I grabbed it. But I think this is the Joe version. I'm not sure. I see that it's got Cobra Commander and Major Blood and Storm Shadow and Baroness and everybody at the bottom, but the main picture is GI Joe. So I'm thinking, and then also it says Yo Joe right here. I'm thinking the Cobra version, it's the same exact book and everything. It's just the cover. I think the Cobra version has Cobra shit up here, a little bit of GI Joe's down here, and then I think it says Cobra real big right there. So I think that's the difference in the covers. Not 1,000% because, like I said, they didn't have the other one there, but you guys can Google that or whatever because they do have a. I know they have a Cobra and Joe version. I'm not sure which one this is. That's what I'm saying.
This
Ultimate
look good.
Wolverine's about to come out.
I can't wait for that. I'm definitely gonna be on that.
Yeah, definitely got to be on that. But but yeah, sticking back with DC, man. Yes, keeping it DC. We've got still we haven't really touched on Superman yet, and we definitely haven't touched on the DCU yet. DC Comics has unveiled a brand new preview for this joint, for Absolute Superman #1, and the actual title will be coming out this what is it? This next Wednesday. So
Comes out next
on
Wednesday. Absolute
yeah
Superman.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah new comic book day. But what time is it now? It's 8:30. Stu, I think you got to pretty much go to work in a minute or what?
Yeah, I gotta bounce, man. I
All
gotta be at
right,
work in 1 hour. I gotta be out the
damn.
door in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Well, in the meantime, man, I'll just keep chopping it up about this Superman goodness. Um,
All right.
and then
All right, man. I give you chat support.
all right,
I support
that's
you in
what's
the
up.
chat. All right, one.
All right, brother. Be safe, man.
All right, two. Peace.
One. Yes, Absolute Superman #1 preview introduces readers to a brand new version of the Kryptonian himself in cities, different Krypton ruled by its cities, like Kandor, and this ruling class, right? The clerics of the Science League work tirelessly to harness the energies of the planet and the red sun to fuel their insatiable and ultimately destructive need for progress. That's what their entire, culture is about. Their whole deal, their whole thing is all about progress, progress, progress. And people be damned. And meanwhile, you have Laura L, expert mechanic and mother of the future Man of Steel, works on fixing a harvester at the L farm in the Redlands. And the writer, Jason Aaron, and the artist, Rafa Sandoval's gritty take on the Superman. Some people might be like, that's like Man of Steel. It's listen, bro. First of all, fuck you. Man of Steel was dope. And it's not like Man of Steel. It's not. It's cool. It's definitely something different. And I'll show you the little preview here. Hang on. Let me bust it up for y'all. Let me bust it up quick. That is Krypton. Um, you know where they kick it. There's some like planetary landscapes. There's Superman's mom. Looks like her pops too. Or his pops too. Man, it gives me it kind of gives me a, I don't want to say Alex Ross vibe, like a, you know, but maybe not. But a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. But yeah, it's dope. Um, it y- um the full lineup of covers for Superman #1. You've got an all-star roster of artists doing them. You've got Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Alex Sinclair, Wes Craig, Matteo Scalera, Clayton Crane. There's a foil variant cover with the Absolute Universe's version of Superman's iconic S Shield logo that will be available. That's really, really dope. It's just it all around. It looks like it's going to be just as good as the Batman one. I'm not even a Superman fan. Like, I'm not a big fan of Superman, but I like definitely am digging everything I'm seeing about this Superman. It definitely looks good. And one of the most important aspects of Superman's character is the fact that he is of two worlds, right? Born on Krypton to an affluent and powerful family, the House of El. But after Krypton's destruction, he ends up down on Earth as a member of the Kent family, Kansas farmers, right? Two different castes, right? And then in a stroke of brilliance, DC's new Absolute Universe has merged the two origins into one, right? So the merging of Superman's upbringing is revealed in this, preview that we showed, and you'll see you see kind of like, he's like, his parents are farmers, but they're, the House of El used to be powerful scientists, right? In the Prime universe, where they were the top of society, right? They were almost like politicians. They were all like more important than politicians, like, and that doesn't seem to be the case for this absolute version of Superman. You have more of like, it seems like his parents are at the bottom rung of society, right? They're much how Superman is not, or Batman is not a billionaire. This Superman is not from this, affluent family, and as demonstrated by his mother, Laura L., who is a mechanic, after she was forbidden from applying to the Science Academy for writing a paper criticizing Krypton's lack of space exploration. The job for Jor-El is currently unknown, but it seems like he, sort of runs a family farm with Laura, his mother. So, it's definitely a different dynamic. They're definitely different, a different sort of family, which is going to breed a different sort of Kal-El. And this is not a Kal-El who is an infant, I guess. So it seems like he's knows his parents, maybe, but uh, we don't know much more than that preview, so we really don't know. But while Kal-El may have been born to one of the most powerful and respected families on Krypton, right, he never got to enjoy that privilege in the comics, right, or in his original canon, because he was a baby when he was sent to the farm, and he grew up as a, I'm not gonna say dirt poor, but like, a modest farmer, and when he arrived on Earth, he's taken in by the Kent family, and so like this grounded upbringing, and so he possesses this, and these powers and everything, but he was still just that farm boy, right, from Kansas. And it seems like instead of having that upbringing on Earth, he's getting raised on Krypton by his Kryptonian parents, but on a farm. Right, so it's like it's mixing the two origins together, so it's very intriguing in my opinion. And like I said, very little is known about Absolute Superman beyond this. One of the main confirmed changes is the fact that Superman will be growing up, not be growing up with the Kent family. He's not going to be Clark Kent, get over it. He's Kal-El, that's just it. And this could be really cool. Like, haven't we always wondered what Superman's life would have been like if he got to grow up on Krypton? Come on, don't fucking lie. We've all wondered that shit. And this is it. So he will instead, arrive on Earth and grow up, alone. And so whether he knows his parents on Krypton, or not, remains to be seen. But it seems like, of course, he does come to Earth. He does apparently come to Earth, and all that. That still remains, but he's not. The Kent family's not there, and it seems to strongly imply that Superman is not going to be arriving on Earth as an infant. Is what I'm saying. Like he's gonna be raised somewhat by his parents on Krypton, but he's also going to have to come to Earth and be some sort of loner, like, have to take care of himself kind of thing. And that means that every life lesson that he starts out will come from his L family, his Kryptonian farmer family. So it's a brilliant way to merge the heritages and still kind of create the same kind of guy, because whether it's the Kents or the L's, they're humble farmers, right? And that's what gives Clark his, you know, Superman his Clark, right? Gives him his groundedness, his down to earthness, that makes him relatable somewhat, as much as an alien god could be. You know, upbringing by the Kent made him who he is what I'm saying. And in most interpretations of the story, he's always had them around to rely on, right? So some stories have played with the idea that of the Kents dying, which often results in a less resolute, darker Man of Steel Superman. And the same could be true of this absolute universe Superman, right? Because he'll never truly feel the tragedy of Krypton's loss on a personal level because he was an infant. He never really. It wasn't like how Supergirl, more knew what was going on. He was an infant; he didn't know, and so. But the absolute Superman will likely be old enough to not only understand the loss of his planet, but the loss of the only family that he ever has. Like, he does apparently come to Earth, but apparently doesn't get adopted by any family. So he does get raised by his Kryptonian family, but then also has to fend for himself. Very, very complex, which is fucking great. Complex in a good way, not complex in a convoluted way or a pretentious way. Um, yeah. So I'm excited about it. I think it looks great. Now, I did promise that we were going to talk about the DCU, which we are going to do. And there is one more character about the absolute universe, though, that I will tell you about. I'm not going to go into it super deep. But Batgirl, the Cassandra Cain version of Batgirl. So a new version. And could, so it's there's no official imagery or anything yet. There's some fan art, concept art, shit like that around, but that's something that's coming. That being said, moving on to more DCU shit. Before we kind of go to DCU though, do we want to really talk about Penguin? Because I'll get into a whole thing. Like, the show Penguin is like my shit. Like, I dig it. It's awesome. It's been great so far. I think it's easily better than any of the Marvel shows. It's the best, like, comic book live action TV show that I think we've ever had. And that's comparing to all the CW stuff. And hate me if you want to. I'm not a fan of the CW. I don't like network TV. I don't like any of that shit. I don't like network TV. It's cheesy. It's, as good as some of it is, and I know some of it's really good, I just can't get with it. Even the better stuff, like even the Superman and Lois, which is supposed to be like the best, I still can't, like, I don't know. There's just something that's not what's called high-end scripted TV about it, that you'll get from, like, the bigger, like, HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and even like Peacock's is doing some good ones, like, and stuff, like, and then all the Taylor Sheridan shows are phenomenal. So yeah. So like Penguin is like an HBO show, but it's about a DC character. So it's like it's very much is like Sopranos meets DC. And it's very much not. So for those people who are like, oh, it's just a gangster show and they're calling it very much not. Okay. I'm a connoisseur of gangster shows. I'm a connoisseur of like mafia movies, mafia shows, all that stuff. Goodfellas is my favorite movie of all time. Like that's my wheelhouse, right? This is very inauthentic in that way. And I'm not even mad about it. Like I was like, what? I was bummed when the first thing I saw him do that a Italian gangster absolutely would never have done. It was almost immediately in the first show. And then it just kept happening and so many things kept happening. And at first I was like disappointed, but then I thought about it and I was like, no, 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 no. This is like a comic book. If you read a DC comic book about the Maronis and the Falcones, there's nothing authentic Italian in there. It's very much a comic book character. You have all types of different henchmen and villains. You know, everyone's not Sicilian. It's not, and like you've got Clancy Brown playing, you know, Don Maroni. It's laughable. He's clearly not even close to being Italian. Could never be mistaken as such. And his wife was like speaks Farsi. I think she's Arabic or Indian. I'm not sure. There's all different nationalities and stuff in the families and stuff, and it's great because it's just like a comic book. And that's what I really want out of live action comic book stuff is I want it to be like a comic book in a way, you know. And I don't mean like literally like how the Eric Bana Hulk, you know, was with like panels on the screen. You don't have to go that far, but like, you know what I mean? Be like the comics. That's all I'm saying. You know. And Penguin I think captures it very well. It's very much like a comic in so many aspects that you have to disbelieve, you know, withhold, you kind of got to suspend belief on some things. And like I said, you can't compare it to the Sopranos or any real gangster shit, any real mafia thing, because it's just not that. It's not meant to be, and that's fine. Like that's 1,000% fine. But all that being said, I guess we're talking about Penguin now. But the Penguin might have been what's cool though is, and what I'm excited about is like this is a precursor for the Matt Reeves Batman universe. And if you're like me, you think the Batman is the best, you know, Batman or maybe DC live action project, like maybe ever. Like it's fucking phenomenal. And they're doing, you know, it's a whole universe. You know, I don't know how I'm gonna like it moving forward. I'm a super duper 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 Joker fan. He's my favorite villain of all time, and I'm not a fan of the Matt Reeves Joker in the slightest. But I love the movie so much, and the Penguin is proving to be so good that I'm willing to like accept that gnarled, gross, fucking right, hideous Joker that they want to make. That's fine. That's fine. It's that good. So I'm excited about this. And Penguin is setting shit up. Court of Owls, okay, that we've never seen in anything live action. And anybody's a Batman fan knows this is some of the coolest, you know, Batman lore. Court of Owls, I think, are the perfect villains next to like the Maronis and Falcones and stuff for this Matt Reeves universe, because can very much exist in a real world situation, and they're very much modeled after some real world shit, you know, namely the Illuminati and shit like that. And so in the upcoming sequel, The Batman Part 2, set outside the mainstream DC universe, by the way, this is not part of the DCU that we are going to be. That's why I said we're not going right to the DCU yet. We're going to stop here in Elseworlds, okay? This Batman, I want to make clear, is not part of the DCU Batman. It's not part of the DCU universe, not part of the James Gunn universe, the next DC continuity in films and shows. This is not that Batman, right? This is something called Elseworlds. It's Like in their comics, they have Elseworlds stuff that takes place outside of the main canon continuity. And this is the Batman that's from Elseworlds. The DCU that we're going to be talking about in a minute is going to have its own Batman. It's going to be called Batman the Brave and the Bold. It's going to have Batman and Robin, the Damian Wayne Robin. So, all new shit. Very interesting. Very different. Very separate. Now, the Batman and the Penguin have detailed this darker, grittier Gotham City, with more grounded villains. Like the Riddler is more like a psychotic serial killer, terroristic type guy, and then you have like the Penguin, who's like more of like a mafia, henchman, and the Joker, who clearly is, we don't know much about, but he's just like some disfigured, psychopath. And with Robert Pattinson's, Batman's coming back in 2026. HBO's The Penguin series is like setting the stage for stuff that they don't want to have to use up any of that 2 hours to explain, right? And so the Penguin has been detailing the Oz Cobb rise to power because, Penguin's going to be like the big boss of like the underworld at the time. But they needed to build him up to that without wasting the movie about that, right? We don't want to make a movie about Penguin. We've done that already. So they're going to make the show, explain it. That way we can move on to some new shit, namely, hopefully, Court of Owls. Now, the focus on the disparities between rich and poor may have set up the Court of Owls as the villains for the Batman 2. With evidence of the mysterious group's, upcoming debut mounting even further after the Penguin episode 6 Gold Summit. And both the Batman and Penguin have focused on that huge gap between the rich and the poor communities in Gotham City, right? In Batman, in Matt Reeves' DC Elseworlds franchise, right? So throughout the Batman, Paul Dano's Riddler, who was raised in poverty, targets Gotham City's elite, right? So it's like a poor guy going after the rich people, right? Resenting the rich. Kind of like, and this is again an unrelated thing, but I just want to say, kind of like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker does in the Joker movie, which again is a separate universe. Even to this, it's Elseworlds, but that means it's also not part of any other continuity. And it's ironic that he is opposed by reclusive billionaire Bruce Wayne in his Batman persona. And so while the divide between the rich and the poor was already immense, the Riddler's actions made it more prominent and made it a solidified thing that Gotham now identifies with and uses to, like, identify. It has significant there's a great plot thread in the Penguin, right? As the Riddler's actions in Gotham City have meant that more of the elite have fallen into corruption, right? So with the divide becoming even larger, this has prompted theories that the Court of Owls will appear in the next movie. And in the comics, Court of Owls is a secret organization comprised of the wealthiest citizens of Gotham City, in a secret organization, right? Like an Illuminati, right? Like a Bilderberger group, right? And so the Court of Owls, they have these, assassinations and stuff like that on Gotham City's lesser affluent people, right? So it would make the perfect antagonist of this movie, almost like the rich people fighting back against Riddler type characters and Penguin type characters and characters who might not have all that money behind them but just might be very powerful. And theories regarding the Court of Owls debut in the Batman Part 2 are supported thanks to the events of Penguin episode 6 Gold Summit. During this episode, power fluctuations and reveals of corruption have uncovered more about the divide between the rich and the poor in Gotham City. Oz confirms that, follow the events of the Batman, politicians were pressured into diverting power and much needed resources to richer communities. So all the power was on for the rich people, and all the poor people had no power, no energy, right? No lights, no nothing, no heat, nothing. And Oz suggests that the politicians of Gotham City have become like a cabal that can get away with anything they want. That you think that's a coincidence? That he literally calls the rich people of Gotham, they've become like a cabal that can get away with. It's the Court of Owls. Come on, uh, you know, you can't really fucking deny it. And the Court of Owls has its headquarters in like hidden rooms in various buildings across Gotham City, which could easily be the case in this Batman and Penguin universe, right? Like we already see Oz's new base of operations, right? That he just sort of used an abandoned was a trolley station or some underground, subway type deal. And, kind of like in the Batcave itself, which is beneath Wayne Tower. And the, Gotham elites, the Court of Owls, would easily slide right into that whole dynamic. And come on, let's be honest. It seems like the rich people have formed a cabal. Well, come on. The Riddler's actions have been revealed to have uncovered widespread corruption. And so, the debut of this corrupt elite lays, the foundations for this Court of Owls, debut. And now that Oz Cobb has a politician in his back pocket, it seems like that more of this corruption will be showcased in the Penguin and beyond, opening the door for the Court of Owls to finally, make themselves known. And Robert Pattinson previously revealed to Den of Geek that he wants the Court of Owls in the Batman Part 2. And so this seems like a very real possibility now. And I'm very excited for one, because just go like read some Court of Owls stuff, or just even there's cartoons. There's definitely some animated movies, and just regular like Batman. I think he's in I think they're in the animated series. They're all over the place. You'll see them in all kinds of shit. Created by Scott Snyder, and part of the New 52. So they actually did come out of this. Some good things came out of the New 52, and that was they're first mentioned in the Batman Volume 2, Number 2, and then they make their first cameo appearance in Batman Volume 2, Number 3, when Batman discovers one of their secret bases of operation, and they were seen posing with one of their assassins, the Talon, William Cobb, who is another character who, like, that would be the villain, right? Talon would be the villain. Talon. And you would see him like in old photographs and stuff, and finally providing Batman with proof of their existence, right? And solid. And so the Court of Owls have a full first appearance in Batman Volume 2, Number 6, with Batman fighting his way through the labyrinth. But yeah, one of the cooler things that came out of New 52 for sure. But Talon would be a really cool villain too to throw in there too. But now, hopping over to the DCU. Well, the Penguin, honestly, kind of gives me a great segue to the James Gunn stuff, because I would love to actually see James Gunn follow suit and what we're seeing with the Penguin, much like what we've seen, Marvel will be successful with, and stuff like that, because there wasn't a whole lot of hype for the Penguin. Even I would try to do videos about the Penguin, and nobody would even really give a fuck. And fans just really cannot get enough of it now. People love it now. And Gunn knows that he has quite the deal on his hands and could leverage it for his own DCU should he want to. He can do that. And I don't think that he should do that directly, but he should definitely take some notes. And the DCU seems to be sort of shaping up to look very different from what MCU has done so far, and definitely what the DCEU had done before. And I think he's doing, his thing. He's very good at his like teams, right? Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy, Peacemaker, that whole deal. And so that's kind of what we're seeing, ensemble casts and stuff like that. This is the first Superman movie that has other superheroes in it. Like, how fucking crazy is that? That no Superman movie in the past had other superheroes in it. When you read a Superman comic book, there's other superheroes in it. Like Green Lantern pops in, right? Flash is, what up? Batman's there. Like, people are there. There's other characters. It's not only Superman is the only person and is the only superhero in the world. That's how the movies make it, and that's not how they are in the comics. James Gunn's movies, his movie Superman, has like at least six other superheroes in it. Green Lanterns, Hawk Girls, and all types, villains, and it's very he's very good with bringing ensemble casts, anti-heroes, heroes, all the different type of people that surround those two people, or those two types. And there's not been a lot of work that focuses on villains, right? And that's what I think Penguin does so well. It's a villain story. Villain stories have been very popular as of late. Not that Venom has been the best movie, but it's definitely had its hype. Um, Sony has kind of failed doing its kind of thing, but they're still doing it, and it's still getting people kind of like they're wanting it, right? Todd Phillips, wild success with an amazing movie, The Joker. Great film about a bad guy, right? Part two, not so much, but there's a whole story behind that. Todd Phillips didn't even want to make the movie. He kind of made it as a fuck you. It's a whole thing. He was forced to do it. That's a whole nother story. But the DCU could launch a whole new dimension. Um, you know, to the universe, to its universe, right? It should have its whole own, I think, sort of villain continuity, right? A whole villain universe. And so far, whether it be the MCU or other superhero fiction, the focus has solely been on heroes and their struggles, while the villains have been relegated to like one-time antagonists in the films. But anyone that's a comic fan knows villains have their own fucking comics, let alone whole stories and stuff like that. There's whole comics. Villains, I mean, there's, Joker has his own comic, like even Penguin has his own comic, but like so many villains have their own comics. And that, because people want to read about these characters and they want to see these characters. So it's something no live action or no even animated like continuity has really, really, really done well, really focused on, really gone into. And I think the Penguin changed that, allowing the focus to be on a villain who has not necessarily become a good guy, as is the case with like Agatha all along, or Black Adam, fucking something similar was done with the Joker with the Todd Phillips movie, commercial success that was set outside the DCEU. James Gunn could leverage this trend by including films and shows in his DCU, which could exclusively follow the many iconic villains of the various years from DC canon, which is absolutely in his wheelhouse. Suicide Squad, right there. Say no more. Waller, Peacemaker, shit like that. These are anti-heroes, straight up villains. I mean, Waller is a villain show. So like right there, more stuff like Waller. And we're gonna see, I think, some more good villain stuff, and that's really a great focus for Gunn to follow. The DCU already has villains that easily could put MCU and other shit to shame, right? You've got Lex Luthor already making an appearance in the movie Superman. Fans know for a fact, unlike the MCU, that the character will probably have some more appearances in the narrative of the franchise, right? Instead of just the main villain, just being wiped out for that movie. Okay, who's the next guy? That's not how comics are. Joker's been around since the 30s. Lex Luthor. I mean, these characters are mainstays. The villains are just as important as the heroes. Forget about it. They are just as important as the heroes, no question. And they need to be treated as such by the filmmakers. instead of just making them these one-off guys. Like they're getting their own shows now, their own movies now, where they're more sort of anti-heroes. Which, and I'll say this about Penguin, he's, you love to hate him. Like, you don't hate him, but he's not a redeeming, like, he's not a good guy. Like, in no way can you Joker or Penguin, Ozcob, he's not a good dude. He'll never be a good dude. They're not trying to make him a good dude. They've literally given him stuff that's absolutely unforgivable. He's not ever going to be a good guy. He'll never be made into the anti-hero. We know he's gearing up to be the Penguin. I mean, come on. And he's got his own show. People love him as a character. That tells you everything. I mean, Deadpool was sort of a dip, a pinky toe dip into that world because he's very much an anti-hero, but it's rated R, blew up, extremely popular. People love it. These comic companies need to realize it, man. Especially these movie studios need to realize that these rated R's and these villains and stuff like that. Stop thinking that everything has to be a PG-13 superhero. Old Hollywood is old. It's not necessary anymore. Comic readers for decades have been reading about villains, solely about villains. Like I said, whole comic series about villains. They have their own titles now. Well, not now. I mean, they have for decades. But the DCU could not only keep around the iconic villains, but like I said, keep delving into these pasts and doing stuff like Penguin and Waller. And I mean, Waller remains to be seen. We don't know, but I think it's going to be great. And I think Penguin is a great, like, what do you call it, harbinger or foreshadowing to that idea. But yeah, the DCU, we have some new stuff about new information about the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. There's been some casting reveals, and we can bust those out here. There's been some it was recently revealed that Millie Alcock's Kara Zor-El will be joined by Matthias Schoenhartz, who will be playing Krem of the Yellow Hills, and Eve Ridley, who will play Ruthie Marie Knoll. You're not going to know who these characters are, okay? A lot of people didn't read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Sadly, because you're not doing comics right, that's a good one. It's really good. It's definitely a must read. And I'm actually excited to see that both Krem and Ruthie, characters from the comics will be in this movie, suggesting that the film will strive to be a faithful adaptation to the comic series. Tom King wrote the comic, great writer. Why would you change it so much? Like, why do these live action companies feel the need to make it their own? Like, bro, you're an asshole, bro. Like, stop doing that. Don't take a character that's been written and a whole story that's been written and tweak it so that you can say you made it. You're a jerk off. You're a douche. Now, Crypto the Super Dog, all of that shit. Anything that's in the comic, be faithful. Lay it down. But Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, is set to introduce some incredible characters to James Gunn's DCU. All these movies are. That's what I love about them. I love that. I think this DCU is going to be really good. I'm really excited about it. If you haven't figured it out, like, I think James Gunn is a great filmmaker. His track record proves it. Guardians of the Galaxy, in my opinion, were the best of the MCU. And I think Peacemaker was a really, really good fucking show. I'm not a John Cena fan at all. Sorry, John, but I love you in Peacemaker. I do. I think it's a great show, and I even like John Cena in it. So it's definitely a track record that I support, right? That I think is going to be good. Now, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, is a phenomenal comic. They're really adapting comics here, and that's what I love about James Gunn. Is I think that he is a filmmaker that really adapts comics. Like instead of just taking the name, you know, for sake of argument, whatever, right? Superman, right? Instead of just taking the name Superman and like, okay, we know who Superman is, let's write a movie about him. Instead of doing that bullshit, he's like, Superman's a character we love. Why do we love this character? Because of these great writers, because of these great stories. So we're not just adapting the character, we're adapting the great story that makes the character popular. Hello. There's a brilliant fucking idea. I mean, it took how long to get to this point, but I'm happy we're here. Tom King, phenomenal author. Supergirl, not one of my favorite characters, like, you know, but I will say I had a big crush on on Supergirl from the 80s. What was her name? Shit, I forgot her name too, but I had a big crush on her. I forget her name when I was a kid. But anyway, and then Millie Alcock, who's playing Supergirl, great young actress. She was great in Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones spinoff. She played the main character in that. So really good actress if you know who that is. And she's playing Supergirl, so that's going to be great. Um, it you know it the comics, right? The Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow series of comics that were published between 2021 and 2022 are very recent, right? It's a fresh comic, and there's a chance to make, you know, the character an exciting and important part of the narrative, comparable to her cousin, and being capable of being a leader within the DCU. But, you know, obviously that requires the right casting to make, you know, the movie. And, you know, these characters are great, but they're only as good as the stories that are written and the actors that are playing them and the directors that are telling those actors how to act. Hang on. Um So, like I said, the casting, Millie Alcock, phenomenal. First things first, you got to have the right person to play the main character in the main role. Supergirl in this case, and she's the perfect fit for this hero who's just on the verge of adulthood, just growing up. She's the perfect age. She's doing the same thing. She's in the same place in life. It works. She's really going to be the true character. Um, and the character has a darker side too. Like I said, this is a really good book. It's not just some happy-go-lucky, goofy Supergirl, you know, nonsense. It's not. It's a really well-written book. It's really good, nuanced and all that. The comics and the movie draw inspiration from that it's going to draw from. We'll have this character Supergirl sort of develop into a hero, but before they you know, can live up to the legacy of the legend of her big cousin Superman, she has some rough edges that she's gotta hone. And, you know, Rhaenyra Targaryen, who Millie Alcock played from House of the Dragon, very similar. You know, young woman who would grow to be a fierce and strong ruler of the House Targaryen, but her eventual rule was pretty short lived. And the young princess was assertive, and she, you know, ensured that her voice was heard. And the intensity and like youthfulness that, you know, she embodied will definitely help define this character of Kara L in Supergirl. And, you know, Kara is decidedly more heroic and hopeful than Rhaenyra, but, you know, hey, Alcock may be young and slightly inexperienced, but that's gonna also translate, and I think perfectly fit the role. It's gonna come across. Um, the character Krem of the Yellow Hills, and the actor that's playing him, Matthias Schoenhartz. I didn't know the name, but I know the guy. He's just recently been in a show. What's it called? Regime on HBO. Regime. It's called Regime with Kate Winslet from Titanic. and he's in it. He's like the main dude. He's like her main side, her main right hand man, kind of like influencing her, but manipulating him. But then he ends up being like the main villain too. If you saw the show Regime, very very funny, very cool show. But yeah, he will make the perfect antagonist for this movie. Krem of the Yellow Hills, that's his name. He's a space pirate. He's unhinged and murderous, loose cannon type, who initially works for the king, but his reckless nature and his quick temper, right, lead to darker and seedier forms of employment. And so he kicks off the action. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, when the villainous Krem kills a young father who fails to laugh at his joke. And evidently his ego is so fragile, and the willingness to use excessive force make him a dangerous person, dangerous character. And I think the role again is a lot like we've already seen him play in the Regime. Let me see if I can show y'all his face. Yeah, here's a picture. So this is the dude here. It didn't show up yet. Hang on. The hell? Boom. Yeah, that dude right there will play a perfect Krem of the Yellow Hills. Yeah. Ruthie Marie is a very young actress. Apparently she's incredibly talented. I don't know much about her, but she's making waves in Hollywood, despite her age. Born in 2011, still just breaking into Hollywood with her part in Supergirl, set to be her theatrical debut. But she's proven her incredible ability in the recent hit Netflix series Three Body Problem, where she played Follower. And with Ridley set to play, a minor part in the upcoming movie, Supergirl will be the opportunity to kind of give her a, cement her role, her position in Hollywood. But the character she's playing, Ruthie Marie Knoll, is a brand new character in DC Comics because, again, this is a pretty new comic. I mean, it just came out within 4 or 5 years ago. Once again, only being introduced within the comics that this movie is based on, from 2021. She's the daughter of the farmer that Krem kills, right? Remember I said Krem kills a father? Well, she's the daughter and is left without a father, or a clear path. And so Ruthie's dogged determination leads her to find someone who can help avenge her father's death. And through good fortune, she meets Supergirl, who then, is going to avenge her death by going after Krem. And it's a fierce and determined role and a good character to take on the villain and shit with Supergirl. So I think they're going to nail it. They're going to nail it to the wall. Yeah, that's everybody that's in that. Now, elsewhere in the DCU, and this is probably the thing that I'm maybe most excited for right now, and that's Lanterns. Because Lanterns is a Green Lantern show, a series, a high-end scripted series, like an HBO show about John Stewart and Hal Jordan, the Green Lanterns, dealing with some entity, some bad force that's come to Earth, and so they're, this is their jurisdiction, so they're here investigating it in a true detective style show. So if Penguin is like Sopranos, Lanterns is like True Detective. And if you haven't seen True Detective, do yourself a favor and do that tonight. Like straight up and down, True Detective, phenomenal. The first one is Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. The second one is like Colin Farrell and Vince Vaughn. The third one I think is Jodie Foster, or maybe that's the fourth one. No, the third, yeah. No, the fourth one. I don't know. There's a bunch of they're dope. They're phenomenal. And now Fear the Walking Dead's Garrett Dillahunt has joined the cast, and this dude is a well known actor. He's what's he in right now? He's in something right now that I'm watching. Dude, what's he in right now that I'm watching? Oh, Hysteria. Have y'all seen Hysteria? This is an 80s satanic panic Stranger Things, right? Think Stranger Things, but instead of, you know, multidimensional beasts, it's Satan, right? Satanic panic type shit. And it's hilarious. And it's got my boy Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead. And it's very good. I'm not gonna say it's very good. It's funny. It's addictive. You will fucking binge that shit. But it's not like, I'm not gonna say it's fucking. I'm gonna say it's phenomenal or anything. Oh shit! Hang on, y'all. I'm gonna. Ooh, I better not. I'll probably lose y'all if I try. Yeah, I was gonna show you the picture, but go ahead and look up Garrett Dillahunt. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about. You're like, oh yeah, you're gonna be like, yeah, that dude's good. You won't know him by name, but you can be like, oh, I know that actor. He's good. Lanterns is the forthcoming DCU series that comes from Chris Mundy and Damon Lindelof, which you might know that name from Game of Thrones. I believe he's one of the writers of Game of Thrones. Who's an asshole for botching it, by the way. Best show ever made, best show of all time. And they didn't stick the landing because they were rushing it because they just were bored and they wanted to go make a Star Wars movie, which I'm so glad they didn't get to make. Karma's a motherfucker. You fucked up my favorite show. I digress. Kyle Chandler has been tapped to play Hal Jordan, which is controversial because he's a bit long in the tooth. And then Aaron Pierre is Jon Stewart, who remains to be seen. I'm not gonna give I don't know yet. I didn't really watch Rebel Ridge yet, which is what he's from in Netflix. So I don't know yet. I think he looks weird. I don't want to say that. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say. He looks weird. That's a weird thing. I don't know. We'll see. Put Garrett Dillahunt in Lanterns is playing a character named William Macon, who is described as a modern cowboy and a self-righteous, conspiracy-minded man who masks his ruthless ambition behind a charming and calculated facade. And in addition to playing John Dory in The Walking Dead, Dillahunt has had roles in television like One Life to Live, Leap Years, Deadwood, The 4400, ER, Terminator, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, Raising Hope, Hand of God, Justified, The Mindy Project, The Guest Book, The Gifted, all kinds of shit, Hysteria, a bunch of stuff. His filmography: No Country for Old Men, The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, which, if you haven't seen, do yourself another favor. Best Western movie ever made, in my opinion, because I think it's like authentic. Like I really feel like I'm in the fucking West. And like even the camera, the way they do how like images from the Old West are all blurry around the edges and just the middle of the photo is clear because of the way that the photos were done back then. Like the movie shot, it's fucking, and the title is like 7 years long. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Phenomenal. Casey Affleck, Jeremy Renner, Brad Pitt, this dude. Great movie. What else was he in? Looper, The Road. He was fucking brutal in The Road, bro. That shit freaked me out, bro. He was creepy as fuck in The Road, bro. That dude was nasty. But yeah, it's cool. There's all these characters being cast and developed. It's gonna be very cool. But the log line for Lantern says the series follows new recruit John Stewart and Lantern legend Hal Jordan, two intergalactic cops drawn into a dark Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. Now, James Gunn and Peter Safran previously said about the show, "We are thrilled to bring this seminal DC title to HBO with Chris, Damon, and Tom at the helm. John Stewart and Hal Jordan are two of DC's most compelling characters, and Lanterns brings them to life in an original detective story that is a foundational part of the unified DCU that we're launching next summer with Superman." No premiere date has been given for Lanterns yet or been announced or anything like that. But it fucking looks crazy, and I can't wait for it. Cannot wait for it. And something else I can't wait for. Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre are back at it again. Since Doggy Style, they have not done an album. Has Snoop been on some Dre shit? Yeah, they like Snoop was on 2001, so but a Snoop Dogg album solely produced by Dr. Dre has not happened since Doggy Style, and the title of it is Missionary. Get it? Not Doggy Style, but Missionary. Yeah, I fucking can't wait. It's the type of news that comes once in a lifetime. It's like hearing that I don't know, a comet is gonna come by, right? An eclipse. It's legendary, because the Chronic changed hip hop, absolutely changed the game. Doggy Style, just one of the most prolific, popular, game changing albums in hip hop that absolutely transcended the country. I don't care if you were from the South, if you were from New York, wherever you were from, you were bumping Doggy Style. Like, yeah, like Biggie was playing Wu-Tang, they were bumping Doggy Style. They've all said so. Like everyone was playing dog. Like that's how beloved that shit was. And to see a sequel, just even to be rumored, is crazy, but this shit is actually official. Snoop Dogg has announced the release date for this highly anticipated album, Missionary, produced entirely by Dr. Dre, and it ain't too far away. He said December 13th is the debut, or the release date for what is billed as the sequel to the 1993 first album of Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style. So I couldn't be happier, man. This is really phenomenal. He made the announcement with a promotional video on social media where two Mormon missionaries come up to a door to knock on the door, and a woman comes out and is like, "What the fuck? Your ad said you were you were dedicated to missionary work." And she's like in lingerie, and obviously thought they were gigolos. Oh yeah, that happens in the world. Check this out. 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 Chiggy, check this out. All right, here you go. The Book of Mormon. Get it? Because they're missionaries. They don't know what to do with it, boy. Good God!
Your ad said you're dedicated to missionary work.
Now, like, my thing is though, I'm a little bit concerned because like Snoop's style in the '90s, like on Doggy Style, that dude was a bro. You know what I'm saying? Like S and double O P D O double G Y D go double G. You know, like he just flipping mother. You know, just flipping, bro, just flipping. And now it's just very much slow and kind of like Azusa, Azusa, Azusa. Like it's not Snoop. It's not the Snoop that I know he's capable of, man. So I'm just afraid that we're not gonna get that Doggy Style version. Which I know, listen, I mean the man's in his 50s, like I get it. I'm not expecting him to fucking come out there clock flipping, which we don't want to hear that anyway. Like, but I don't know. I was a big fan of Snoop. Like he had great lyricism, he had great cadence and all of that. And a lot of people are like, "You're crazy," when I say that I think he just doesn't have it anymore. He kind of lost it. And I don't know if it's not saying he lost it. I mean, he's still cool, he's still Snoop and all that, but his verses, I don't know, man. His lyrical, his cadence. But I'll keep it a buck. I haven't really heard it since like Doggy Style. Like even on the Dogfather, which it was his like next album, when he did with like Master P, wasn't even hitting like that, man. Like I was almost honestly, I was like, where's the guy that wrote those raps? Because like, who wrote this shit? Because it doesn't sound like the same person wrote it, honestly. But I don't know. Maybe I'm on a tangent. But anyway, little information is known about Missionary, other than Snoop is the rapper and Dre is the producer. They've dropped hints about the project over the past few years. In August, Dre said that he was close to finishing mixing the album and that Sting would be one of the features, right? Sting, from the Police, one of the best bands of all time. Snoop reiterated that the Sting feature, or he confirmed it, later, earlier this month, right, earlier last month, confirmed that Jelly Roll would also appear on the set. Several other MCs and musicians have claimed that they've either heard the project or will be featured on it. 50 Cent said he's going to be on the album in March. Method Man confirmed that he would also be spitting something on there during a Drinks Champs interview last month. Dre and Snoop have worked together, obviously a lot of times over the years, but on Dre's 1992 solo album, The Chronic. I mean, or if you even go before that, when he did the deep cover soundtrack, was the first joint. But the Still DRE, Forgot About Dre and shit like that. And then the 2022 Super Bowl with Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, 50 Cent, Mary J, and all those was the last time they really got on stage together and shit. So it's big news. It's big news in hip hop. Hella people are excited about it. I'm a little weary. I'm a little leery. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm not super just, oh, this is gonna be the shit. I'm actually kind of worried. I'll keep it 1,000 because, like I said, huge shoes to fill. When you're talking about, The Chronic, Doggy Style, and you're talking about making a sequel that's something, is supposed to be on that level. That's a crazy fucking proclamation. But who else could make it but Dre and Snoop? So she shall we. In the hip hop space, since we're talking about it, Rakim Allah, legendary half of Eric B and Rakim, was chopping it up recently on an interview and shit. Still innovative, still doing shit, still busting it up. As a student at Windach High School, he occasionally skipped class, and one day his English teacher, Miss Bonaparte, spotted him in the hallway and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "You're a rapper, right?" Stunned, he hesitantly answered, yeah. She replied, "Well, you're supposed to be in my class," and walked away. Rakim was dumbfounded. He said the whole rest of the period, I was walking around in slow motion like, wow, she's 100% right. After that, I never missed an English class, he said, unless I was sick. He said, I went in there and robbed that class for every word, every phrase, anything I could get out of that class. And it shows. Like, that kind of dedication shows, and it's just not seen in today's MCs. It's just not. And for various reasons, which we'll go into. We've gone into many times. But yeah. Both Rakim and his older brother Steve Griffin played the saxophone, and listening to John Coltrane and shit like that. He said that was, Rakim's favorite album was John Coltrane's 1961, My Favorite Things. He said this was a record that we played at least once a day. We'd be listening to it for weeks. He said, I dropped the needle, we listening to it, and you hear two notes played at the same time. And we looked at each other, and I'm like, yo, did you hear that? And he was like, play it again. So we played it again. Me and my brother almost ran out of the house. He said we both played the sax, and we knew that it was impossible. We didn't know what to do. But me, everything I see, I convert into music theory, vocabulary, and rhythms. So I'm saying to myself, how could I use that as an inspiration? This man just played two notes at one time. I can't say two words at one time. Just the fact that he was able to do that and let me know that there's always another level. End quote. Shit like that, man, just makes Rakim a very unique MC. Definitely one of a kind. There's nobody else like him. He's definitely his own thing, and that's what hip hop's all about, originality. But yeah, man, that's just a little tidbit, bro, that I just was reading and thought was dope to share with y'all. But yeah, man, that's our show. We're gonna chop it up with y'all every Saturday, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Y'all already know, Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see you guys again in the middle of the week. Hump day. We'll see you Wednesday, y'all. And every Wednesday and Saturday, 7 p.m. You guys be safe, and all that good stuff. And we'll see you then. And y'all know what it is. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, hook it up, help us out, all that good stuff. All right, y'all. Peace.